Hello, friends, and welcome to the Virtual Strangers review discussion of Dark Days. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Roots. Roots, thank you for taking a moment away from Asgard's Wrath to talk to us for just a few moments about Dark Days. We appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. It's hard actually. It was really difficult pulling myself away from all the fist bumps and high fives and shark dudes, and it was awesome.
So, you mean that you weren't just clamoring to get over here and talk about this 2-year-old 3DOV Gear VR port to Oculus Rift?
Oh, I was really looking forward. Actually, I am looking forward to talking about it. But I was definitely not looking forward to going back and playing a little bit today. Just because, man, it's been such a progression in gaming, right? In the last 3 years.
It has been amazing, and I'm going to be very cautious here not to get started on that because you know me, when I get started on it, I won't stop. We're going to save this. This is the type of thing we talk about on the Monday show, so we're going to save it for that. Dark Days. Dark Days was brought to us from Parallel Studio. It was published by Oculus Studios, of course. Originally on Gear VR, June 22nd, 2016. It was ported to Rift on December of the same year, December 16th, 2016. So what is this? This is a 3DOV, as I mentioned before, obviously coming from Gear VR. It has to be 3 Degrees of Freedom. Pretty much a point and click adventure, psychological thriller slash kind of horror. They call it an escape the room, but you pretty much you keep escaping the room over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, it's find the key, escape, find the key, escape, get locked in the same room you just found the key to get in, and turn around, that door's locked. But yeah, it's definitely, it's got some stealth as well. With that creepy fucker that's just always there, that dude. Perfect timing. That's always coming around. He's not always popping in and leaving. He's usually killing your ass. So
Yeah. So first of all, let's just start with this. This is a point and click game. Um, for those of you who come into VR to experience a realistic simulation of a game instead of actually, some people, if they can't feel like it's real, they don't want anything to do with it in VR. For those of you who have this outlook, this is not a game for you. But for those of us who don't mind going into VR and just playing a game every now and then, instead of having to relive, scenarios with one-to-one realism, for those of us who don't mind doing that once and again, this is not too bad. It really reminded me a lot of the older, maybe early 2000s level point and click PC games. Roots, did you ever get into that type of gaming? And if so, did this throw you back to that era kind of the way it did me?
yeah, it's exactly what it reminded me of. And for what it is, it's a good game. It's the node to node base. Movement's not too bad, and it reminded me a lot of those type of games. It has a pretty good story. The acting's decent. You know, it just yeah, it is what it is. It's a three off point and click. It I don't know what else to say. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's hard to talk about the good with this game without talking about the bad because it's not all sunshine and roses here. Let's talk about how it looks first of all. I was expecting something that looked a lot more dated than this. Uh, the graphics surprisingly clear, not a lot of shimmer. Of course, dated textures and and stuff like that. But as far as the clarity goes and the just the overall, man, I don't know how to really describe. I thought the game looked pretty good for what it was. Surprisingly so, even. What did you think about how the game looked?
Yeah, it looked a lot better than I thought, especially in that opening scene when you're driving down in that car. It looks really good. You do feel like you're moving in a car. You know, the scenes, the rooms, you know, you go in here in this hotel, and it's looks like a typical hotel. So they did a good job with making it look um like what it should. But yeah, so I think that the sounds were decent. It's about the only good I can think of as far as that goes. How about yourself?
Yeah, it reminded me of like what I would imagine the early days of the techniques that they use to make games for Oculus Quest today. I mean, you've got uh, low detail textures, but the way that they use lighting, the way that they use the color and contrast, it makes it look better than you think that it would when you get the headset on. It might look a little cartoony to the flat screen, but once you get in there, it looks pretty legit. Sounds, I thought the sounds were good. I mean, above average even. The voice acting's very good. The when you like uh, interact with the environment, when that demon monster comes around, it has a very distinctive growl. I thought all of that was very good. This jukebox sounded good. The television sounded good. I think as good as the graphics were, that the sounds were even a little bit better in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, so I would say that, and you know, and the story was pretty good. I mean, you know, I finished the game, and you know, I wanted to see how it ended, and that was pretty good as well. So I think all around in that respect, those are the goods, and I felt like I was pulling teeth to get them out, but I think the bads will flow out a little bit easier on this one, just because there's certain things that just gripe the hell out of me, and I'll start with just the fact that, you know, you're directing that thing with your head, and I felt like I was constantly twisting my head in weird positions to try to get look at things, and uh I don't know, my neck's still a little bit stiff from it, from the 2.5 3 hours it took. I don't know, did you have the same problem? As far as it just seemed awkward. Not every game that I've played like this is like that, the where it's just very elaborate movements with my head, and I don't know if they really wanted to showcase the Gear VR and how you can move things around, or I just felt like I wish I could just point at stuff, you know.
Yeah, I didn't really have that big of an issue with that in this game. I mean, a little bit, but honestly, I had uh, that problem. It was more of a problem in Doors of Silence for me because in Doors of Silence, which also was a mobile game that got ported over, uh, when you find a letter or something that you need to interact with, you have to look at it at a certain angle. So you kind of had to just kind of nod a little bit. Okay, that's a little too much. Back up. I noticed that a lot in Doors of Silence. Not so much here. I could pretty much use the turn function here to point myself at something, and then between you know, looking at it and using the crouch button to crouch and stand, I could line myself up pretty well with the controls. That said, what really bothered me probably most about the game was the gameplay was kind of repetitive. We kind of joked to ourselves earlier that this game, instead of being called Dark Days, it probably should have been called Where's My Keys? Because that's your main objective in this game, is to find the keys so you can get out of the room. And then when you get out of the room, I mean, they say this is an escape the room, right? When you escape the room, do you get in your car and you leave? Nope. You stay there, you wake up, you stay another night in this creepy hotel with monsters and shit. And I kind of didn't get, I mean, they keep flashing up this news flash about how a sandstorm is coming, and it never really come. You know, I didn't finish the game like you did, Rich. Did the sandstorm ever come?
It came, it went. It really didn't serve a purpose in anything outside of just kind of showing that different stuff's going on the outside, you know, or maybe you're trapped in there and you feel a little bit more isolated, kind of like you would in real life, you know, like, oh God, I'm really stuck here type of thing. But no, it came, it went, it did its thing. But no, it was definitely, you know, the story, it doesn't really, you don't find out what's happening in this whole thing until like the very, very, very end. Like so much so that it rolls the credits, and then there's even a little clip at the end, and you're like, oh God, I'm glad I watched this, because that would have been not good to see, you know. It's just a long game to I don't know, it felt long, I guess. It's 2.5 3 hours, and that shouldn't be. I guess that just shows that the gameplay was a little bit tedious to me. And I guess we'll go to the next thing that or the biggest thing that was tedious is that little fucking creature, man, and the way that all of a sudden he pops up and he's killing you, and you like you were saying, you walked into a room and he was right in there and attacked you, right?
Yeah, this was very frustrating. You know, the story is compelling enough to keep me. It had me. I was willing to play through the game of Where's My Keys to get the story, because it's well done. The voice acting is well done. The story is it's a thinker. You know how I like these thinkers. You know that I have to ponder what's going on. But the gameplay was frustrating because every now and then, just randomly, this monster shows up, and the rules with the monster go: if you look at the monster kills you. If you can manage to look away, the monster won't kill you. But the thing about it is as you get on into the game, this monster pops up in places and it doesn't give you ample warning to look away. And that would be fine if there was autosave through each episode, but there's no autosave. So if the monster just pops up and you're at the end of an episode and it kills you, you have to play through the entire episode again. And it's point and click story based stuff. It's slow paced. So you have to go through the room and look at every little item again and hear the characters speak the same line again, just so that you can progress through the scene to get back to the part where you now know the monster is, just so you can look away this time and progress a little bit further. And it really eats up a lot of time, or at least it did for me. And yeah, it kind of really pissed me off and was probably the main reason that I stopped playing it.
Yeah, there's a couple times I had to walk away because I can only die so many times to stupid shit, you know. Especially, you know, there's little hiding spots. You got to find out where those spots are. It'll show a little guy kneeling or whatever, and you just need to know where that's at. And when you hear that noise, you just go right next to that spot, and then you start looking around, and then you trigger it and duck under, and then she says, oh, I hope he doesn't see me, and then he comes out and looks around and then goes back in. It just it's cool. It's a cool aspect of it, but I believe it was overdone, because I swear to God, there was times where I would have just triggered him, just hid, got away, and it was instantaneously happening again. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you know, and God forbid I died, and you know, okay, I'm gonna go do something else. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind that trial and error style gameplay, but when they implement that and then put it so that you have to do 5 to 10 minutes of menial tasks repetitively over and over and over again, it wears on you. Especially when you already, you know, if you go through it a third time, even like there was one time I had to play through the scene 3 times because of this monster popped up in one area, and then I made it just past that, and within 3 minutes, here it was popping up again in another area, killing me all over again. And then that would be fine if it let me just start right there, you know, 2 minutes before that happened, and redo it. But no, you have to go all the way back to the start of the scene, do all this stuff, search through clothes and drawers, and trigger every little dialogue line to progress things. And you know, at the end of the day, as much as I really want to know what happened with this story, uh, I'm like you. I had to walk away from it.
Yeah, you got some Asgard Wrath to play, you know, like something else, even if it's not that, there's something else I could be doing besides dying to that stupid creature 16 times in a row. But yeah, I guess it's a mechanic. It's once you figure it out and once you figure out where those spots are, it's not as bad. It's just a little bit overdone in my opinion, but I don't know.
Okay, so to be clear, I've probably played through halfway, maybe a little more than halfway through this game. I did enjoy my time in it overall, even though I did get a little animated just then about my frustrations with it. I think the game looks good. It sounds even better. The voice acting is very good. The story is compelling. And the gameplay is good, except for the couple of things we just listed here that were frustrating. During another time, where there wasn't so many new great things to play, I could see myself going through and finishing this, but today I probably won't be. Now, Roots, this game retails for $7.99. It's a cheap game. I got it for free. It was just something that Oculus made free a few months back for whatever reason. I picked it up then just because it was free, and definitely worth that. Definitely worth the time that I've put into it so far. Um, is it worth $8 to you?
Uh, I don't know, man. I don't think so. Not anymore. I think, maybe a year ago it was worth $8. I got it for free as well. I think free is better. But what can you get for $8, in the VR world these days, especially on sale? So you got to think about that. That's a little bit less than a quarter of Asgard's Wrath. There's just so much consideration. We've got Stormland coming out. A lot of games, Espire one. I mean, it's not worth. That's my deciding factor right there. How many good games do we have coming out in the next 2 or 3 months? I take for granted that I'm gonna play or pick up every one of them, but not everybody's gonna do that. Some people are like, well, I can get one, maybe two. I'm not gonna get the $8 Dark Days. Maybe $2. I'd say it's worth at this point. Now, did you get to the shower scene?
The shower. I was in a scene where I was showering.
Yeah,
If that's what
where
you're
the
talking
dude
about.
was, where the creepy guy was peeking in
Yeah,
on you.
yeah.
Yeah, man, how creepy is that, dude?
I,
Oh,
wa- I was kind of wondering what that dude was up to. I didn't feel like he was trying to peep on me in the shower. I don't know what that dude's deal was. I was thinking maybe he was trying to protect me. Maybe that's why he kept locking me in the room. But I didn't make it far enough to find out what his true motives were.
yeah, well, we'll have to discuss it off camera, and I'll tell you. I'm assuming if you're not gonna play through it, then look at that thing, man. Is that not creepy looking? He's just
It
all,
is creepy. And again, in a box by itself, no other games to play. Sure, it's probably worth $8, and sure, it's probably worth the time to play through it. But today, with all of the other games that I have to play, with all of the other stuff that I can get for $8, I would say that this is a pretty solid $5 game. Um, if you like these narrative-driven escape the room games, it's probably worth the full eight. It's a well done game. It's from Oculus Studios. There's not a lot of jank with it, other than the frustrating gameplay. Um, but again, VR has moved on from this era. We are in the next generation, and I personally just don't have time to see this one through. Not today. Maybe I will one day. But as good as it was, it's just not good enough.
yeah, I agree.
All right, so I think that's going to wrap up our review discussion of Dark Days. Have you tried this out? What did you think of it? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below. And if you've liked this video, don't forget to thumbs up. And for those of you new to the channel, please subscribe and don't forget the notification bell to keep up with all of our nearly daily content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, friends, we'd like to thank you for watching, and for Roots, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.